I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
I'm built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah. I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep them out your face, no way, you don't want them, yeah.
Don't try to drain my energy. The enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily spreading like a rare disease, but I won't let it get to me. I don't need your therapy. I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity. Come on, we can fight this. Freedom is priceless. Spread just like a virus. Living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness? Trust me, you can take it. Go on and take your aim.
I'm built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah.
What up? It's draft time. It's listener mock draft time. We're going to do this one a little different. I'll explain that momentarily, but it is another great day in Draftmas lore. That was Nefix. For those of you asking who that was, that music is what is called Free 99. I do enjoy not having to go through the muting of things, and Nefix does a great job of giving all of us creators a whole lot of his music to use, and I appreciate that quite greatly. So it is a mock draft day, listener mock draft day. I want to do something a little different today that I've never done before. So since this is only a 1-round mock draft, I am pumping out the 3-rounders as quick as I can. Cleveland Brown fans have done a lot of work watching theirs. New England Patriots, same thing. The Giants and the Tennessee Titans. Just hey, maybe throw a like at that. Maybe watch through it. Those all help. It takes me roughly an hour to fully produce every one of those after I record it. So we'll be putting more of those out over the weekend. My goal is to get halfway through the NFL by the end of the weekend and then do the other half next week. So that's the current objective. Check out the website, NFLdraft.net. Almost all of the player rankings are on the website, down to off-ball linebackers and safeties. And then kickers and shit, which aren't people. Those will come out after the combine. Great North Sports pushed the 3-round mock drafts to his Discord because he's a great Canadan and one of our favorite people of all time. Thank you, David Smith, for all that you do. Today's mock draft's going to be a little bit different. So I don't know how many people we're going to have over the course of the mock, and I'm going to call this, it's a listener mock. in that all of you are going to have a say in what every team does. So we will talk about each team. I'm going to hit record here so I don't forget to do that, because I like to do that from time to time. So we're going to talk about each team a handful of minutes. I'm going to put a poll up in the chat, and you guys are all going to get to vote on who the pick is. If you're a fan of the team, if you're not a fan of the team, it doesn't really matter. Make your case in the YouTube chat. Next week, we will do a full-on walk the mock, 3-round mock draft the way that we have done in the past. I hope that is not a huge disappointment to anyone. It was I spoke maybe too soon, and I do not have all the logistics of walk the mock loaded into our software. So I tried to do it this morning, and then I got to a certain point, and I went, oh, shit. There is just no way I'm going to get this done by 12. I have a meeting that has been canceled twice and then put back on for this afternoon. So, and that's for draft things. We're trying to get everything with the combine locked in. Very, very excited for that. But Tank's travel schedule is making it a bit of a bitch to get loaded in, because we didn't expect him to be going to Washington, D.C. to meet with senators to keep AM radios in your cars. Didn't see that coming, but very proud of Tank and all the things he's doing. So I, on the screen, am going to get the PFF mock draft simulator up. If you have any questions, feel free to chuck those in the chat. I will get to as many of those as I can while I'm loading this in, and then we'll get going with a little mock draft. Stephen Towle likes the idea. I'm always glad when people say nice things about ideas as opposed to, hey, you're a big, dumb jackass, which is what I get a lot of. It is just a shocking amount of, hey, you are a big, dumb douchebag. And I don't love that. I'm a sensitive guy. Okay, we got the draft board up on the screen. Okay, Sir Jimothy has a question. He said, yesterday I was asking about slot receivers, number 4 through 8, because I figured if Dallas would pick one up, that's when it would be super in the late rounds. Okay, that makes sense. There are not a ton of guys that I think are slot specific. Tez Johnson is. There are a bunch of guys that I think can work out of the slot, but not necessarily a bunch that I think are only slot receivers. We're definitely getting to a place where receivers are coming in with more flexibility in terms of where they play, at least from when I started doing this. We also had a comment on our YouTube page. Let me go to that and get that pulled up. It was from a New England Patriots fan about LKU Manor. Sawyer Bronneman, I hope I said that correctly, said, I feel like what you're saying about IU Manor is the same shit they were saying about Jalen Polk, except bad quarterback play. It's not look, this is not an exact science. If any of us had this down to an absolute peg, then we would all be getting paid a shitload of money from NFL teams, and we would never have to worry about a job for the rest of our lives. I like a lot with LKU Manor. Am I telling you that there is not a path that he busts out? No, I'm not. I'm not saying that, because there is certainly a path that it's not gonna go great. But his quarterback play has been so bad that you have to kind of search through. You gotta wade through it. Now, with what he said about Jalen Polk, I'm not gonna lie to you. I still think Jalen Polk can be a good receiver in the NFL. I think he didn't acclimate to the league very well, and he wasn't great as a rookie, and sometimes that happens. But that was a really good comment, and I wanted to get that out there. Feel free to do that on any of the videos. I wade through all of those. I try to get them responded to as quick as I can. I don't always succeed at that, but I try my best. All right, we're going to get started with the mock draft. Evan Doyle asked, is this going to be an individual mock the way we've done it in the past? This one will not be. I want to crowdsource this one. And what got this idea running in my head is that I feel like we have a lot of people in our YouTube chat, that watch our lives, that are very informed when it comes to the NFL draft at a higher level than the average fan is. So I want to crowdsource where you guys are right now. And I'm going to put this out on the Facebook and all those things later in the weekend of where you think each team should go. I do not have a counter, but I'll bet you I could find one. You got to love the internet. It feels like they've got a little bit of something for everything. So I'm going to put 2.5 minutes on the clock for, nope, that's 23 minutes, you big dumb bastard. Doop. So I'm going to put 2.5 minutes on the clock, and I'll bet you I can get that on the screen if I try hard enough. You guys ask some questions while I get this set up, and I apologize for being a little disheveled today. I'm working on another project at the same time, which I don't know why I do this shit every year. Hey, let me pick up a project that has nothing to do with the NFL draft right as we get really into the swing of things. But a friend of mine started a business. It just so happens to be in a business that I can assist with. And it's just the kind of guy that I am. If I can help my friends, I always will. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Let's see. I'm going to pull the countdown timer out and see if we can't get this bad boy on the screen. Stop showing me ads, damn it. Nobody cares about your stupid ass ads. And yes, I do see the irony that I do have ads on my website, and I'm bitching about ads on another website. I do see the irony in that. Okay. There we go. I'm going to put it, so if you're curious as to what I'm doing, I'm trying to narrow down a timer so that I can put this up on the screen, and it will tell everyone how long they have to vote on each individual pick. It looks like Abdul Carter getting some love early on in the voting. That does not surprise me in any shape, form, or fashion. He seems to be, I'm not going to say a consensus, but it does seem with everyone I talk to be pretty common that they think that's where Tennessee should go. This quarterback class is just not good. And I know people want it to be, but it's not. It's not good, and I don't think anything's going to change there. Nothing's going to change the tape on these guys. And in large part, we have really bad tape on the quarterbacks that are in this class. And that leads to, I want you to take Abdul Carter, who I know exactly what he's going to be. He's going to be a fantastic pass rusher in this league. Travis Hunter's going to be a fantastic player in this league. And that's what I would prefer you do, as take a shot on a quarterback that I don't know exactly what they're going to become. I think I have almost got this clock to a point that I can put it underneath me. Doop, doop, doop. Doop. Make it a little bigger. Bow. All right, 2.5 minutes. We'll start the clock on the Tennessee Titans. Look, Tennessee is a team that they need a lot. They need a lot of players. They need a lot of talent. And look, I want to comment on Tennessee right off the jump. I get a lot of people that say Tennessee should trade down. You're not getting any disagreement from me. The problem is I don't know who's going to trade up with you. Because, yes, Abdul Carter is a fantastic player. There's also a belief around the league that if you force Tennessee's hand, they're still going to end up picking a quarterback. And that is disconcerting. I don't want Tennessee to take a quarterback because I saw a poll from ESPN.com that basically said, who are they going to throw to? Who are the weapons going to be? What is the offensive line going to look like? Are you going to get these guys killed behind an offensive line that's just not very good? And I think there's a merit to all of that. So in my mock, I had Tennessee going Abdul Carter. We're at 1.5 minutes right now on the clock. We'll see where the fans of this here program go and think that the Tennessee Titans should go. I'm going to have to put that bit of the screen up over here so it will keep running. Doop. That clock is serving to be a massive pain in my ass. I'll figure it out in a minute. We have 1 minute left on the clock for the Tennessee Titans. It's looking pretty good to me that our number one picker is going to be Abdul Carter. Tennessee needs a lot. Tennessee is not a very good team. I don't know that Tennessee has the coach. I don't know that Tennessee has the – I think Tennessee's missing a lot at this point. And you get to a certain point where you have to look at a team and just go, you got to take the best player on the board. You got to take the best player for you. And that's what I think Abdul Carter gives you. We will see if in 25 seconds that is where the listeners of this here program have gone. And I will, again, try to effort to get the damn clock up on the screen. Because it's not wanting to work with me. All right, you can't see the clock, but it has expired. You can hear it, though. The clock has expired. Our number one pick, 52% of votes, Abdul Carter. So we will go at number one, Abdul Carter, to the Tennessee Titans. It'll take me a second. This is a great example of why I really like having Tank in with me, because he can carry the conversation in a way that, well, it's a little difficult for me to do. All right, so number one right there, we will go Abdul Carter to the Tennessee Titans. All right, number two, the Cleveland Browns. I will get those set up. We got the Cleveland Browns that will now be picking at 2, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not even really sure who the fourth option here would be. I'm gonna set in Travis Hunter. If you have any opinions on this, feel free to comment it in the chat. I'm going to set in Travis Hunter. I'm going to set in the 2 quarterbacks, and then who should the third one or the fourth one for the Cleveland Browns be? So I have Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and then who? My thought is Mason Graham. As a matter of fact, that's where I'm going. Mason Graham. Next highest player on the board, so we will start the poll there. All right. Stephen Tao said it's going to be Travis Hunter. Just go ahead to number 3. I have already started the clock. So we're working down on the Cleveland Browns here. Look, the biggest discussion really for them is, are you going to take a quarterback, or are you going to look at this team and go, look, we're locked in on we're locked in on Deshaun Watson. The payment there is happening whether we like it or not. There's nothing that's going to change that. Where do you go from there? And that is, to me, that's a really interesting part of this. I should also specify that I will not be doing trades in this, so there will be no trades in this under any circumstances. So nobody is going to have the option even to trade. I don't know why the clock just randomly appeared, but it did. We're at 141 for the Cleveland Browns. The biggest question about the Browns, are you going to take a quarterback? I don't think your offensive line is set up for that. I don't think your offensive line is very good. I considered putting an offensive lineman as the 4th potential selection on the board for the Cleveland Browns. I don't think that going to Cleveland is a career death for Cam Ward or for Shedeur Sanders. I don't think it's the best place for them to succeed. I don't think it's going to go particularly well in year 1. The question is, could they be the long-term franchise quarterback, or is Cleveland better off to just find a guy for this upcoming season, deal with the Deshaun Watson thing in the following offseason, and then be picking high again, deal with the quarterback then, and that is what I would do. For me, Travis Hunter would be the selection here at number 2. I cannot see the... Oh, we finally got it to where I can see it all. That's exactly what I wanted. Travis Hunter currently getting a lot of the vote on our in our YouTube poll here. Looking like Travis Hunter will be the selection at number 2, and then we will get to the New York Giants. And I think we have enough people here with Travis Hunter. Who should be the other 2 for the Giants? Or should I just go the 2 quarterbacks? because that feels as though it's the path. They're taking a quarterback. It's just really a question of which one. We're down to 10 seconds here for the Cleveland Browns. I feel pretty sure that I can go in here and just select Travis Hunter. Doop. All right, so we'll go ahead and start the clock on the New York Giants. Travis Hunter, definitive winner, 75% of the vote for the Cleveland Browns. Giants at number 3. This is basically a question of, are we going Cam Ward? Are we going Shedeur Sanders? The New York Giants are the first team that I look at and go, you have to be, this has to be a quarterback. Sir Jimothy said that damn bell sound is awful. Yes, it is, which is why I just muted it, so you shouldn't hear it again. Unless my computer continues to do shit that just doesn't make any sense to me. Look, I don't think the Giants are a quarterback away, but you've got to have something. It's been so long, outside of that one playoff year, that the Giants had really any hope. I mean, for lack of a better term, you've had no hope for as long as I can remember. You've got to have somebody that gives you reasons for asses to be in seats. I'm not a fan of that strategy in a draft. I also know this New York market quite well because I am a Jets fan. And so I have watched what happens when the fan base turns on you. New York turns on you in a way that very few other places do. And I feel like the fan base has turned on the New York Giants, which is why I think you have to take the best quarterback. Don't get me wrong. But if you think Shedeur Sanders can be the star, the way that Eli Manning was the star in New York, Eli Manning was not a great quarterback. The fact he wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, that didn't really it didn't bother me in any way. It actually kind of made me happy, to be really honest with you. But he's still the best quarterback in the history of the franchise. I don't think there's a huge talent discrepancy between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. Where I think there is a huge difference is maturity of prospect. Cam Ward is much more prepared to play right now than Shedeur Sanders is, and it's not really all that close. So when I look at where this goes and where this should go, I think they should take Cam Ward. I will be interested to see what the chat says. This has been really close. We're down to the last 5 seconds to see where the New York Giants go, and clock starts blinking, but no god-awful buzzer. The New York Giants, with the 3rd selection in the Sportsocracy fan draft, have gone Cam Ward, 54% to 46%. So Cam Ward will go here at number 3 to the New York Giants. That brings us to number 4, and I think this is probably the most interesting team in the top 5. New England Patriots at 4, and there are a lot of different ways to go here. I'm very interested to see where the chat goes with this. New England, I will put Will Campbell up here. I will put Kelvin Banks Jr. up here. I will put Tet McMillan up here. And I will put Mason Graham up here. Part of me thinks I should only have one offensive lineman, but they've got to take Timothy O'Toole, Mason Graham, Tet McMillan, Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Ben Whitley, the Jaguar fan, says they can't have Mason Graham because Jaguar fans everywhere. Well, that's who you really want your pick to be. And I'm not going to lie to you, I don't blame you. You should want that to be your pick because that is, to me, he's one of the best players in this class. What is so interesting with me with New England is that this is a team that has a lot of money. I think that free agency is going to dictate where they go a lot more than people think because I think Will Johnson is in contention here for sure. Bill Buttigieg asking if I saw his comment. I did. He basically said Jalen Milroe not in the first. This guy's a racist, and I didn't check your name at first, and I almost cut you to pieces. And as I was typing it pissed off, I saw the name and went, I know what you did there. I know exactly what you did there. And it was funny, and I got a great laugh out of it. New England Patriots, I find this team to be really interesting because I want to aid Drake May. I don't know what the best way to do that is. I like Will Campbell a lot. I think Will Campbell can be an elite offensive lineman in this league. I just don't know that he's going to be – I don't know that he's going to be a left tackle. He might be a right tackle. He might be a guard. Those are still important positions. I've always kind of laughed at this premise that we just completely discredit any guy if they can't play left tackle. And that doesn't make sense to me. I had this issue when we went through the Peter Skoronski thing. I had this issue when we went through the Rashawn Slater thing because I really believed in both of those guys. I just screwed up the board. I'll have to fix that in a second. I had this issue. I've had this issue with a lot of guys. You do understand that just taking the best player on the board when you need an offensive lineman is not a bad strategy. And I don't think it's a bad strategy for the New England Patriots to just take the best player on the board. And I think the best player on the board is Will Campbell. I need a player that can play right away. Kelvin Banks can play right away, but I think you're going to have more issues with him than you would think, than you would want out of a guy you take at 3. I need a guy I take at 3 to be a steady, no doubt solution. And I think Kelvin Banks will be in time. I'm just not sure that he is right now. All right, the pick is in for the New England Patriots at number 4, and 54% of the vote, Will Campbell, offensive lineman out of LSU. And we've got the board right. Bill Buttigieg said, I just can't see Vrabel taking Campbell over Graham. That is an interesting part of that equation for New England for me, is how much of that is going to Vrabel, how much of it's the front office, how does that look after everything we went through with Bill Belichick and how that ended there. I will be intrigued to see how that goes. I just realized I can pop out the chat, which makes this a lot easier. According to Timothy O'Toole, Vrabel supposedly has final say. Interesting. I don't know how much I believe that, but for your sake, I hope you're right. Jacksonville Jaguars at number 5. This is a 3-horse race for me. It's Ted McMillan, who I do believe your new coach is going to see some similarities between him and a receiver that he just had. I'm going to go Mason Graham, and I'm going to go Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. So we will start that poll now. I think Jacksonville is an incredibly intriguing – it's an intriguing spot because of who you hired as your head coach. Because Ted McMillan, to me, is a carbon copy of Mike Evans if he lives up to his potential. On the low side, he's a carbon copy of Drake London, which in this offense with Brian Thomas and nothing else, I don't think there's a better fit for Ted McMillan. Red Sea said I should restart the clock. So far, the vote's going exactly how I thought it was going to, which is why I didn't feel like I was going to need the full clock on Jacksonville. I think every Jaguar fan I have talked to, outside of one guy, has said, I want Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan. And we're to such a point there that I'm just going to go ahead and talk about fit. I think Mason Graham can be a Quinnen Williams level impact in the NFL. This kid is an absolute bulldog, and I'm not even sure we've seen how good he can be. He's still developing. He's still developing moves. A lot of what he does is power, and it's not speed into power. It's power into power. But he's got really fleet feet, and I think there's even another step with Mason Graham. That's going to be your pick here at number 5 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. All right, now we go number 6 to the Raiders. This will be another interesting one for me. Anybody in the chat have an opinion about who I should put on the board here for them? Shedeur Sanders is definitely going to be one of them. Wow, 74% for Mason Graham. That's a little shocking for me. I did not see that coming. All right. Red Sea says it should be Shedeur Sanders, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Shedeur, Tat McMillan, Genty, and Will Johnson. That's exactly what I was looking for because that's what I thought as well. So we will – this one I think is going to be a little bit closer. So we will leave the full time on the clock here. I feel like if Shedeur Sanders is here, there's no way they're going to pass on him. Whether they should or not. Because it just seems like that feels like that's been destined that either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders winds up with the Raiders. So we'll restart the clock here, see how the voting goes here. Early polling for sure to Shedeur Sanders. Somehow he went from not 100% to 100%. Like, I don't love the idea of Shedeur Sanders with the Raiders. But I don't hate the fact that he would be going into a building where you have Tom Brady in the up in the corner office. I do think this is probably the drop dead spot of you're going to have two quarterbacks that go in the top 6, whether you should or not. So you have Cam Ward that's gone at 3. I think Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this class. But if you're looking at an overtime thing, I don't necessarily think that it's a huge difference between what you get long-term with Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward if you're willing to develop Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur is not nearly as athletic as you want him to be. And that does bother me in this current climate. I think C.J. Stroud ran into some of this over the course of the last year. I think Bryce Young struggled with it in the beginning. Of you've got to be willing to step up in the pocket and take off if that's what the play dictates. Shedeur just doesn't do that very often. I don't think he's very straight line fast. I've already been told he's not running at the combine. He may not do anything at the combine. He has done nothing in the pre-draft process so far. This strikes me as one of those situations where you're going to get somebody from Oak Island, North Carolina is calling me. There's like 8 people that live in that entire city. I think you're going to get to a point with Shedeur Sanders that if you're willing to be patient, he can be the best quarterback in this class. The problem that I've had, and I continue to have, is that I don't think anybody's going to be patient with him. He's going to be out there week 1, and you could shell shock this kid. Because if you don't put him behind a fantastic offensive line, there's a possibility he's going to get killed. Eat and Sleep Football said he sees no path that Sanders does well in Vegas. I can't lie to you. I don't think it's the best spot for him. I prefer it to New York for him. I would prefer it go this way. And we have elapsed the time. 93% of the vote to Shedeur Sanders. Tat McMillan didn't get a vote. I am shocked by that. So we will go here to Shedeur. I got to scroll a bit because PFF, like me, does not love Shedeur. Shedeur Sanders. Boop. Number 7 with my New York Jets. I will go. This is a tough one. I will go Tat McMillan because now with no Devontae Adams, you need somebody on the opposite side of Garrett Wilson. I will go Tyler Warren, the Penn State tight end. I will go Will Johnson to replace DJ Reed. And I will go an edge rusher. But which one? I will go James Pierce Jr. I think he's just that good. I love James Pierce, and yes, I saw the report about. I've gotten a report. There is a report out there that came out yesterday about character issues and things like that. Timothy O'Toole asked about Kelvin Banks. The reason that I didn't put Kelvin Banks up there is that they have Ola Fashanu from last year. I don't think they would take another offensive lineman. They like Vera Tucker on the right side, whether it's at guard or tackle. I don't think they're going to invest in the offensive line here. They need the offensive line to get better. And I think the offensive line will get better to a point solely because Keith Carter is no longer in that building. And that is that makes me very happy that he is no longer there. I'm going to scroll this draft order down just a skosh. So, oh, nope, can't do it that way. There we go. So we can see all the picks as they are happening here. I'm going to move that up. And apologies for this being a little disjointed. I am in here by myself. There are a lot of buttons running this by yourself. So far, Will Johnson is in the lead, and I'm not going to lie to you, I think that's the right call. That's what I had in my initial mock, the first one that I did after right as the playoffs were starting. I don't understand the hate on Will Johnson. I get that he's not going to be an absolute straight line monster. But if you're telling me I have Will Johnson and Sauce Gardner with Michael Carter in the slot, I feel really good about what we have done with the secondary. I also like the pass rush. So even though I like James Pierce, I don't necessarily think edge rusher is your biggest need. I think you can add one of those guys in the second day, and you'll be fine. Getting Jermaine Johnson back is a big deal. That defense was not the same after he was gone. Hassan Reddick did you nothing. That was the greatest waste of time in the history of the NFL. And I look at it, for me, it's Will Johnson or it's Ted McMillan. I see Eat and Sleep Football said, I saw a Jets page that said they want Malachi Starks. I have seen that as well. The Jets do need a safety. That would be a very big shift in philosophy for the Jets. And maybe Darren Muji has full autonomy to do whatever he wants to with Aaron Glenn. I would just be really shocked if that happened. All right, our poll has lapsed. The winner is Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan, 47% of the vote. All right, the hometown team here, the Carolina Panthers. Stuart West, I like how you said that. Will Johnson's not an underwear warrior, just a good player. That's exactly right. Where are my entertainers? The job is NFL cornerback, not Olympic sprinter. Johnson is legit, not who I want the Jets to get as a Pats fan. I appreciate the fact that you're willing to admit that. B, you're exactly right. I agree with every word that you just said. I as a Jets fan, really like that pick. Will Johnson at number 8. Okay, the Carolina Panthers. I know Ted McMillan has to be one of them. I would say they're probably a little pissed off that there is no Will Johnson here. I'm going to put James Pierce Jr. I'm going to put Mike Green from Marshall, and I will put Malachi Starks. That's my highest rated defensive players here. So we'll go Ted McMillan. We'll go. Oh, I lost my page there. Oh shit! Don't quite know where that came from. Shut up, Facebook. Oh, we got to restart the clock, and we will go right there. 2.5 minutes for the Carolina Panthers. Look, Carolina's a team that needs a lot in terms of defensive talent. Thank you, by the way. Where are my entertainers? I appreciate you. I'm having a one-man bandit this week, because we've got no Tank, who's dealing with some other some other priorities this week. Where my entertainer said no tight end here, I considered Tyler Warren. I think this damn near has to be a defensive player because they have such a lack. The only one that I really considered was Ted McMillan because they do need another receiver to some people. I am not one of those. Bill Workman said edge is a bigger need than safety. I have two edges up there, so you got the opportunity there. Malachi Stark's the only other defensive player that I didn't want to put three edges and go just pick your poison. I put Ted McMillan up there because I do like the fit for him with Carolina. I don't think that's where he's going to go. Right now, James Pierce Jr. at 48% of the vote. So we'll see where this goes. I like Mike Green a lot. You know, after seeing him at the Senior Bowl, I think that kid could go higher than a lot of people think. Red Sea, I hate it here. He wants James Pierce Jr. so bad. And look, with the personality issues, I think there is a risk that James Pierce falls. I will also say to Red Sea that from what I understand, one of the teams that is a little upset about the character issues with James Pierce is the Cardinals. So it's also nice. I think I've had James Pierce to Arizona in every mock we've done so far because I love that fit so much. The other thing is there are a shitload of pass rushers that you can still add because there's about 25 of them in this draft class. We're to the last 10 seconds with the Carolina Panthers. It appears that the selection is going to be the hometown kid from Charlotte, North Carolina, James Pierce Jr. goes here to the Carolina Panthers at number 8. 48% of the vote. Ted McMillan with 30, Mike Green with 15, Malachi Starks with 7. Where my entertainer said I could see the Georgia front seven guys going high with that Philly influence. You're not the first person that said that to me, and I can't tell you that you're wrong. I think there is a possibility that you're right. All right, Saints at 9. I'm going to go 2 pass catchers. Ted McMillan, who, if I keep putting him up here, eventually he has to go somewhere. Tyler Warren. Anybody in the chat that wants to chime in on who the other 2 options should be? I know we have a lot of Saints fans, so. If they have any opinions about who the other 2 guys should be. Oh, Soaring Eagle with the chat of the day. I can't. There we go. If the Panthers pass on Ted McMillan when they need a true alpha wide receiver and Ted goes to New Orleans, Dan Morgan should be instantaneously fired. Look, they like the receivers in Carolina probably more than the average person would think. And they do have a lot of them. Mark Matlock said put Walker in here. All right, so Jalen Walker and Mikael Williams. Mikael Williams might be the most interesting eval I think I've ever done because I've yet to see a consensus on him. There's a lot of different opinions on him. And where are my entertainers? I agree. Coker looked good last year. Leggett they took in round 1. That's the reason I wouldn't go Ted McMillan at 8, although I do love the fit. I think you're going to see a large contingency of New Orleans Saint fans that are going to be really high on taking Ted McMillan. Oh, I also need to take James Pierce for the Carolina Panthers. Poor Red Sea. That's his favorite player goes pretty high. That's what that would be. This will be one of the highest mock drafts I've seen James Pierce go. All right, time is ticking down. We're at a minute and a half here for the New Orleans Saints. Notorious B.I.G. said the Saints don't develop pass rushers well enough for Jalen Walker. Get one already prepared to play a role, not an experiment. I think that's a good comment, especially after some of the failures that they've had. Mikael Williams, to me, and Jalen Walker are both there's a ball of clay there. The only thing is I have to look at that and go, they're going to improve markedly coming away from Kirby Smart. And I'm not to the point with Kirby that I was with Nick Saban, that just nobody gets better after they leave him because he's the best coach that's ever existed and blah, 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 blah. I'm not to that point, but I'm getting pretty damn close. And it is kind of hard for me to look at two guys that were not necessarily special at Georgia. I saw special plays. I just didn't see consistently special. That makes it hard for me. I don't think either one of them should go in the top 10. I don't think Jalen Walker should go in the top 14. I believe that Atlanta should be the first time that we really start discussing him. And Mikael Williams, there's just a lot of different opinions of where exactly he's going to fall in. I think he's a 4-3 edge rusher. Not everybody agrees with me. Some people think he can stand up. I heard Kirby Smart say that for a long time. He just never did it. All right, we are to the end of the clock. Tet McMillan is your pick here for the New Orleans Saints. 70% of the vote. I appreciate all of you saying hit that like button. That is very appreciated, especially when I'm having to man all the buttons here. We've got Tet McMillan here going to the New Orleans Saints. Chicago Bears at number 10. Kelvin, now I'll turn this over to the chat. Who should the four options be? Kelvin Banks Jr. obviously should be one of them. From there, Ashton Jeanty. I've heard that one so many times that I'm going to throw him in there. So we'll go Kelvin Banks Jr., we'll go Ashton Jeanty. Let's see. Make that pick for the New Orleans Saints, which was Tet McMillan. Oh, I want to throw. Who do I want to throw in here? I want to throw Walter Nolan in here. Just first chance to see him this high. And I'll check the chat and see if there's anybody else that has been said. Yes, they definitely need offensive linemen for sure. You know what? I'll throw Tyler Booker in here. I don't love it, but I see it. And I don't think the industry is as high on Tyler Booker as everybody else does. So we'll go Kelvin Banks. We'll go Ashton Jeanty, Tyler Booker, and you know what? Go Josh Simmons. We're going very offensive lineman heavy for the Chicago Bears. Josh Simmons is a really interesting eval for me. If he hadn't gotten hurt, I think this is where we would be talking about him. But I'm not sure that this is where he's actually going to go. I think he falls a little bit just solely coming off the injury. Sorry, I'm breaking every rule in the book of how to appropriately podcast, do all the things as I sit here and drink and shit on air. Boop-a-doop-boop. James Fedewa said Starks. I think you have such a – I love Starks. There's a lot of opinions on him that not everybody loves him as much as we seem to. And I don't get it, but I hear it a lot. I had somebody that I respect the other day tell me he thought Malachi Starks wouldn't go in the first round. which to me is absolute insanity. But Stuart West, have you heard anything about Nolan's motor? Good talent. Does he take plays off? There was a lot of talk of that when he was at Texas A&M. I did not hear it as much last year. So, look, I think the tape last year on Walter Nolan was intoxicating. I also just realized that I did not put him on the list after I said I was going to. Oh, you got to love doing shit live. Right now we are 22 seconds on the clock. And it's not a landslide, but it's pretty comfortable. Ashton Genty, Tyler Booker, and Josh Simmons splitting the vote, but it looks like Kelvin Banks is probably going to be our winner for the Chicago Bears. With 5 seconds to go, I believe we can call it. Kelvin Banks is your winner for the Chicago Bears at number 10, 58% of the vote. That brings us to the San Francisco 49ers, and I am 100% leaving these four options up to those of you watching this. You tell me who I should be putting in there. Kelvin Banks Jr. Boop. Reset the clock. I feel like Mike Green should definitely be one of them. I feel like Mikael Williams should be one of them. And from there, I'll let you guys decide what you want to see here. San Francisco, very interesting team. Got to pay Brock Purdy this offseason. Red Sea went Simmons, Nolan, McHale, and Green. I am perfectly okay with that. All right, so we're going to put Walter Nolan. Ryan Fate, they took Pearsall round one last year. They're going to be tough to predict. I agree. I was so shocked when I saw that name pop up on the screen. I heard it through the window, and I went, that can't be accurate. Mark Matlock said Mimbu. I could go with Josh Simmons. Actually, you know what? I think I will go with Armin Mimbu. There's a lot of people like him way better than me. They definitely do need offensive linemen. They're just not notorious for taking them in the first round. Ramonzo Berry asked, is Hufanga re-signing? I don't think so. I have had Xavier Watts to San Francisco in a lot of mocks because I think he would be a nice replacement to Tally Hufanga. Red Sea said maybe Luther Burden. I think they believe Ricky Pearsall will be the replacement to Deebo Samuel. I don't necessarily know that they're going to have that move piece the way that they've had it in the past. Because they look at Juwan Jennings, they think Juwan Jennings was elite, and I tend to agree. Juwan Jennings with Ayuk, and you've got Pearsall coming out of the slot. That's plenty of weapons, especially with Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. This is one of the closest votes we've had so far. So far, Mike Green leading with just over a third of the vote. I love Mike Green, and I'll be honest with you, I love him to San Francisco. I love Mike Green or Mikael Williams to San Francisco here. Mark Matlock has a good point that the offensive line is hurt a lot in San Francisco. I agree with you. I have long said I think San Francisco have patchworked that offensive line, thinking that they can just find guys. And they've had so much damn offensive talent that it has covered the fact that the line is just not very good. And that is a problem. So this is actually a spot where I do think they would take Mimbu over Josh Simmons after I thought about it. So because they do still have Trent Williams, I think Trent Williams will be back. And I don't project Josh Simmons as a right tackle. I think he is a left tackle off the jump. You have to be really committed to the guy and really okay with the medical. All right, this one's coming down to the wire. And Armin Mimbu. 35%, 30 from Mike Green. And that actually tied right as I hit the button. But Armin Mimbu was the leader when the button started to blink. So we'll go Armin Mimbu here to the San Francisco 49ers at number 11. Dallas Cowboys. Man, I have a funny feeling I know who this is going to be. To the point of I'm actually going to start the clock. I'm going to switch the clock out. I'm going to start it when I've got half of these guys in. So we will, for the Dallas Cowboys, I will go Ashton Genty. Oh, let's see. I'll go Ashton Genty. I will go Josh Simmons. I'm so locked into Ashton Genty going at 12 that I can't even really think of other players I want to put here. Receiver's not a bad one. Matthew Golden. I see that one in the chat. Golden. All right. Golden has gotten some echo, so I will go Luther Burden the third. And I will go Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden is a very Jerry Jones pick. He said we're all going to pick Genty anyway. I agree. That's why I meant to start the clock early and I didn't. This is one that if we get to if we're at 80% with the same number that have been voting in most of these, I'll just go straight Genty and call it good. Pennywise said, we have 600-year-old Ezekiel Elliott and Oompa Loompa Deuce Vaughn. Ezekiel Elliott's gone. They let him go at the before the season was over. He wound up with the Chargers for about 15 seconds of a playoff game, and I think he took a snap. We're at 78%. Yes, this is feeling like I can call this one early. Ashton Genty to the Dallas Cowboys. It just makes too much sense. He's too much the sexy pick. He's too much the player that the Dallas Cowboys are notorious for picking, and it's a position of need. So it was too easy. We got through a minute, and it was very obvious it was going to be Genty, so I called that one good early. Miami Dolphins. And Genty ended up with 76% of the vote. Here at number 13, the Miami Dolphins. I will go Malachi Starks because they're going to let Javon Holland walk. I will go Josh Simmons. That's the best offensive lineman on the board. C. Red C said Tyler Warren. Pass rusher, I feel like they're going to let a pass rusher go. I especially after they hit on Chop Robinson. We'll put Walter Nolan in here. I don't think he's a great fit. And we'll go Tyler Ward. Even though they have Jonnu Smith. All right, we'll start the clock here on the Miami Dolphins. We are at number 13 in the first round listener mock draft. If you're joining us a little late, we're doing this one different than we've done it in the past. You, the listener of the show, are the ones that are making the picks. I am at this point just the commissioner. I am throwing out 4 options into a poll. We're voting on the poll. I will put this out for public consumption on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all the places over the weekend just to see what people think of it as we put out our 3-round mock drafts. Also, if you haven't gone to NFLdraft.net, check out our Patreon. We've got a lot of stuff moving into there over this weekend. Bill Workman is putting in absolute work. His top 100, my top 100, those will both be available exclusively on Patreon. They will not be on the website until after the Combine. Those will be exclusively available on Patreon over the weekend. I'll also be starting player breakdowns after I'm done with the 3-round mock drafts. Stephen Tao said, I'm the commissioner without the booze. I don't like getting booed. I really don't want to get booed. So I appreciate everybody being nice to me. Malachi Starks with the early lead here for the Miami Dolphins, and I tend to agree. I think Malachi Starks can be a Minkah Fitzpatrick type of player. I don't understand the hate for him. I've never really understood the hate for him. I think he's just a guy that's a victim of his own success. He was so good so early on, and then he just stayed good and didn't necessarily put up the numbers. Also, I think people have a reservation about taking safeties in the first round, which I think is dumb. That's how Kyle Hamilton wound up with the Baltimore Ravens. He was the best player in that draft class, and it wasn't close, and nobody wanted to take him in the top 10. He winds up with Baltimore, and now he's the best player on their defense. And so now you've got a young defense in Baltimore with Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton and all of the different pieces that they have on that defense. There are only a few positions that I lock into I'm not going to take in certain positions, and running back is really the predominant one. Down to 15 seconds here for the Miami Dolphins. And if anybody has comments or anything like that, you feel free to super chat those. We are taking super chats today because this is not recorded as we were at the Super Bowl. And we always appreciate those. Last month was our biggest month ever between social media and YouTube and things like that. If we can continue to have months like that and growth like that, the places we will go. All right, the timer has elapsed. In a very close vote, Malachi Starks, 43% over Josh Simmons at 35%. So number 13 here, the Miami Dolphins, Malachi Starks. All right, number 14, the Indianapolis Colts. I have a funny feeling this is going to be a lot like it was with Ashton Genty, that we don't necessarily have to do this for very long. All right, I will go Josh Simmons. I will go Tyler Warren. I will go Walter Nolan and Mike Green. And I have a funny feeling that that this is how this is going to go. So I'm actually going to start the clock on Indy right now. Okay, the poll's up. I have a funny feeling this is going to be about 95% Tyler Warren. And if we get to a minute and it's 75+% to Tyler Warren, we'll call this one good. Gomaha said Will Johnson to Indy. I think that's probably his drop dead spot. I can't imagine him getting that far. If everything goes the way it went here and there's no Mason Graham on the board, I can't see the Jets letting him get past them. Especially since they just hired Aaron Glenn as their head coach. Tyler Warren doing exactly what I thought he would be. Where my entertainers asked if I could recap the picks. As soon as I make the Tyler Warren selection here, which is exactly where this looks like it's going to go, I will recap all of the picks and put them back on the screen. I left the selection screen open because this went exactly how I thought it would. Yep, 86% of the vote. Tyler Warren. There's our pick here at number 14 to the Indianapolis Colts. All right, so here we go. Atlanta Falcons. We have your picks up on the screen. Number 1 was Abdul Carter. Number 2, Travis Hunter to the Cleveland Browns. Number 3, the New York Giants took Cam Ward. Will Campbell to the New England Patriots at number 4. Mason Graham at number 5 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shedeur Sanders at 6 to the Las Vegas Raiders. Will Johnson to my New York Jets at number 7. James Pierce Jr., a little bit of a surprise. I'm good with the talent. I'm good with all of it. To the Carolina Panthers at number 8. Teteroa McMillan at 9 to the New Orleans Saints. Kelvin Banks Jr. at 10 to the Chicago Bears. Armin Mimbu at 11 to the San Francisco 49ers. Ashton Genty at 12 to the Dallas Cowboys. Malachi Starks at 13 to the Miami Dolphins. Tyler Warren at 14 to the Indianapolis Colts. And now we get to 15 with the Atlanta Falcons. We'll end that poll. Tyler Warren actually wound up at a higher percentage than he even did when I cut the voting off. Let's see. Atlanta Falcons. This feels like a 2-horse race. And so it's actually a 3-horse race. I'll go Mike Green. I'll go Jalon Walker. I'll go Mykel Williams. I'll go Shamar Stewart solely because I heard somebody say that. I actually heard that one in my travels, so I will go Shamar Stewart as your last potential selection for the Atlanta Falcons. Boop. All right, voting has begun. Stuart West, Anthony Richardson was a mistake. Yes, sir, he was. If Bradley Presley, if Starks and Warren are both there at 14, which would you choose based on depth of each position? And who could they get in the second round? I would go Tyler Warren. I think you need a tight end that bad, and I really, really, really like him. Depth of position, tight end is deeper than safety. So I could understand going Malachi Starks. I think there's a discrepancy in the player and the fit. So I would still go Tyler Warren, but I could understand Malachi Starks as well. Notorious B.I.G. Give the Falcons Jalen Milroe. I think they need a third quarterback just in case. Gigi Gambling. We have not pushed Benjamin Morrison yet because coming off the hip injury at Notre Dame, the medical's a little sketchy on him, so this is a little high, even though I have him rated this highly. It's a little high. We will probably start putting him out there in the next handful of picks. We're starting to get into the high side of his range. All right, with a minute to go, we've got a pretty close vote here. Mike Green is leading. Jalen Walker is second, and Mykel Williams at third. And Shamar Stewart is showing why I believe it was Red Sea said Waldo should be the fourth player up in here. Sir Jimothy asked, are you voting who they should or who these teams would take? He's going should. I would be going should. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. Vote your conscience. That's the beauty of doing these things. Completely interactive. I think I'm going to find an away message like a la AIM of, hey, don't message me when I'm on. Oh, good Lord. Oh, T's and P's for Mr. Spencer. I'm not going to disclose what he just did, but I saw a picture that didn't look awesome. I don't do. Yikes. T's and P's for old Cantankerous. Mike Green, 48% of the vote going to the Atlanta Falcons. Yikes. I'm going to have to take a quick break after the 16th pick to deal with what I just got in that text message. So it'll be about 5 minutes. Poor Tank. You talk about can't win for losing. Damn it, boy. That is brutal. All right. So here for the Arizona Cardinals, we will keep the edge rusher. We had Mike Green go to the Falcons. So here we will go Cardinals. Number 16. Go Walter Nolan. Go Mykel Williams. which if that is who you pick, Red Sea might absolutely lose his shit. Jalon Walker and I need a fourth for Arizona. I can't see how it's going to be any of these guys. So we'll go Mike Green here. You know what? I'm going to go Kenneth Grant here. I don't think whoever the fourth option is. Let's see. I'm going to put Kenneth Grant in here as your fourth. Oh, Mark Matlock's got a good point. The Cardinals did hire the offensive line coach from so I'll put Josh Simmons in there just to give us another position. I don't think whoever it is going to win anyway, but all right, let's start the clock. Sorry, that picture is it's not done much for me. I would be the worst doctor in the world. You bleed, you die. Damn, on Valentine's Day too. Poor cantankers. It's a good time to mention, fellas, if you haven't bought something for your wife, it'd be a great time to do it because it's 1:15 Eastern time. She'll be coming home from work reasonably soon, and it would help if you had, I don't know, a daffodil or something. I have my wife's gift being delivered here because we have become two hermits that don't ever leave the house. We're doing Valentine's Day tomorrow night, just solely because neither one of us wanted to go out tonight. And I'm okay with that. I was up working on the website until about 4 o'clock this morning, so I am perfectly okay with a low-key 7th Valentine's Day at home. All right, let's check the voting here. Valentine's Day was a massacre, though. There was a massacre in Tank's house. R.I.P. Foot. Colin Green asked, Jeremy, can you explain why Jalen Walker is going in the first round? He feels very Lucas Van Ness-ish. It's because there's enough raw talent there and the kid can move all over the place. It's Trayvon Walker all over again. That he can just do a little bit of everything. The problem is he doesn't do anything particularly well. And that always scares the piss out of me. But it doesn't seem to scare other people. And look, I know somebody's going to do it in the first round. I don't know who it is. And it feels like a grave error in judgment. But somebody will do it. We are to the last 10 seconds here of the Arizona Cardinals. The Fighting Red Seas. Colin Green said me and Christine are going on a boat ride tonight. Hopefully I don't catch the Rona. I don't think it's the Rona that we've had. We have like the mobile malaria or something. GG Gambling. I said R.I.P. Foot. F-O-O-T, not food. Tank had a little boo-boo. Had a little run-in with a piece of metal that apparently decided it wanted to be in his foot. And as somebody that's done that, I can tell you it hurts like a bitch. All right, number 16 pick here, Arizona Cardinals, Walter Nolan. I think that would be a good selection for Arizona. Red Sea, your thoughts as the resident Arizona Cardinal. Get over here to the screen. Then I got to go make a quick little. Give me about one song to deal with. with the infarction that I just saw. Walter Nolan here to the Arizona Cardinals. It's a great time. If you need a beverage or anything like that for the second half of this mock draft, listener mock draft, now would be a great time to get it. I'm going to pause the recording. We'll do a quick little song break here. Let me find one. Always helps when you have one of those pulled up, and I don't. By the way, big shout out to all the artists that throw music out there for us to use in situations like this. Let's see. There we go. All right. Take a quick break here. I'll be back in 4 minutes.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Tape my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption. Breathe faster to waste oxygen. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out. Be carefree lately, yeah. Just picking up daisies. Got one too many quarters in my pockets. Count 'em like the four-leaf clovers in my locket. Untied laces, yeah. Just tripping on daydreams. Got dirty little lullabies playing on repeat. Might as well just ride around the nursery and count sheep.
Okay, I'm back. Tank is headed to that place where you go to get doctored up when you fuck around and find out. Because he fucked around, he found out. Yikes. All right, we continue with the mock draft here. We are at pick number 17 with the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals have a lot of the guys that I wanted to go to Cincinnati. They're not here. And so I'm going to ask Evan Doyle. He has he has four of them up there. Eamon Worry, Morrison, Walker, and Grant. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. Where are my entertainers? I believe he is okay. He is if he did the same thing I did many years ago, it hurts like hell for about 2 weeks. I stepped on a roofing nail, which was not awesome. And it went through my foot. Okay, and who was the fourth one? Kitty Grant. Ryan Faye said this is worst case scenario for the Bengals. I would tend to agree. Mark Matlock asked about Pierce, Nolan, and Green all supposedly have red flags, but we don't have any falling, which is probably right. All right, so the Pierce red flags, nobody can give me one instance of what he has done to make him fall. I put next to no credence in that shit until somebody can give me a tangible. Last year, if you watched our coverage with Jermaine Burton, I had no less than 10 examples of what it was that was pushing him down. Mike Green, people are hypothesizing that something went very badly at Virginia because he doesn't do anything there. And he left. Allegedly, he was kicked off the team, but nobody will confirm that. And then Charles Huff just waxed poetic about how he's the greatest guy he's ever coached. Walter Nolan's red flags are about motor. And if you watch the Ole Miss tape, I didn't see any problems with it. I think he went to the wrong place. I don't think he believed in Jimbo Fisher. I think he figured it out pretty early. And as a guy that knows Jimbo Fisher, I'll tell you, it's pretty easy to not believe in Jimbo Fisher. So I don't hold any of those things against them. There are players in this class that have legit big boy, honest to God, red flags. For me, to this point, none of these guys fit into that. Now, that can change, and where you'll really see that change is about a week and a half from now when we head to Indianapolis for the Combine. That's where scouts start talking, and you start hearing a lot of this shit. Eat and Sleep Football, did you have a higher grade on Sam Williams or Walter Nolan? Walter Nolan. I liked Sam Williams a lot. I like Sam Williams a lot, but you talk about a guy that had character red flags. Holy shit, Sam Williams had a lot of them. And I don't have those fears with Walter Nolan. I have a really high grade on Nolan. I thought that was a good pick by the Cardinals there at 16. All right, we are at 38 seconds here for the Cincinnati Bengals. Jalen Walker currently has the lead, and I wouldn't hate that. Kenneth Grant, I would not love that. I wouldn't mind it in the second round. I don't love it in the first round. Kenneth Grant's the definition of the big dancing bear right now, and everybody loses their shit that he moves so well. What they don't realize is that, he doesn't actually do anything at this point, right? I feel like we fall for a guy like Kenneth Grant about once a year, and they take 2 or 3 years to turn into actual football players because they're just big freak athletes instead of football players. All right, Cincinnati Bengals pick is up. Jalon Walker, edge rusher, linebacker, football extraordinaire from the Georgia Bulldogs. I think there is a great chance that this goes exactly this way when we get to April, that Jalen Walker goes ahead of Michael Williams. One thing I will tell you is that we're going to have to search for a second here with the PFF software because they do not like Jalen Walker. Boop. Okay, right here, 18 to the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to have several offensive line choices here, I believe. I will go, my preliminary on them, I will go Josh Simmons. I will go Kenneth Grant. I will go, I think it's too early for Gray Zabel. All right, chat, I'm going to ask you, who should be the 4 choices for the Seattle Seahawks? Tyler Booker, that's a good one. So we'll go Simmons, we'll go Grant, we'll go Booker. And Calvin Beermaster Rogers is a Seahawks fan. He wants Shamar Stewart, so by God, we will put Shamar Stewart out there. Boop. All right, Seahawks at number 18. We'll go Josh Simmons. Tyler Booker. Shamar Stewart. And Kenny Grant. I feel like this is a 3-horse race, but I do keep hearing Kenny Grant. Anytime I start hearing a player's name that often, it means it's coming from somewhere. I don't quite know where, but it is coming from somewhere. I think this little exercise has worked out nicely. This is not how I planned on doing this originally. This was one of those make chicken salad out of chicken shit kind of scenarios. But I think it has worked nicely. I like crowdsourcing opinions just to see where people are, and I'm keeping a level tracker of where all the voting goes to. Stephen Tao said J.K. Simmons is better than Josh Simmons. Josh Simmons would have been a much more suitable Santa Claus, though. Still can't get over they put that little tiny dude in a Santa costume and said, "Hey, it's Santa." No, it's not. Bill Buttigieg said Ben Simmons better than Josh Simmons. Touche. Stuart West, Grant should probably go in the mid to low 20s somewhere. I tend to agree with that. I think that's a pretty solid. I think it's a solid range for him. I'm not sure that he's not going to run really well for his size, and then we fall into the Mekhi Becton thing of, oh good God, we completely forget what the tape says and lose our minds. Andreas Pinckney, I'd lose my mind if the Saints got the best receiver in the class. That's a W we badly need right now. I tend to agree. I had not really even thought of Ted McMillan with the Saints either. I'm not going to say I hadn't crossed my mind. I just hadn't put a lot of credence to it. I was looking at a pass catcher, but it was more Tyler Warren. But I also didn't have Ted McMillan falling to you. So it's one of the beauties of this exercise is it puts things in your head that, well, I did not see that coming. With 10 seconds left to go here, looking like Josh Simmons, offensive tackle from Ohio State, is going to be our winner. 0 votes for Kenny Grant. That's solid work. That is solid work. Okay, let's reset the clock. Get Josh Simmons to the Seattle Seahawks. Josh Simmons, who I feel like has been on the board no less than 43 times. All right, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I feel like we should go Shamar Stewart here. I feel like we should go Shamar Stewart, Siobhan Ravel, Jade Barron, if there's a fourth player anybody would like me to put on the board for the Bucs. I see Red Sea said Jihad Campbell. I think it's early for him, but I'm not averse to it. All right, Bucs at number 19. Michael Williams. Michael Williams makes more sense. Now I can't remember who the other one was. Jade Barron. Jade Barron, another guy that I see really, really high on lists that it's not that I don't get it. I didn't see that tape the same way. I thought he was a very good college corner, and I thought he was a second-round pick. Oh, got to start the clock on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, it's still a little early for Jihad Campbell for me. I know a lot of other people have him that high. I don't see any way he's actually going to go that high. Notorious B.I.G. said, I don't get the hate on Kenneth Grant from the media. I think he's better than Chris Jenkins was. I would agree with that. He's a great raw talent. There's just not a lot of payoff with him. And those guys can be really dicey, where I never see you finishing the play. Now, there is also a merit if you had Mason Graham beside him. So, was he – we know he's a big athletic dancing bear freak. Is he a great football player? And that's at times with his tape where I struggle. But the raw of him is intoxicating. Tyson Carter asked, do I see anybody that could have a major fall based on where they should go? Ooh, Benjamin Morrison's first name came to my mind. If the medical doesn't check out and some of these teams start failing him on the medical. I think Burden could fall. I see Stuart West said that in the chat. That's a good one. Just solely because I don't know exactly how you're going to get him the ball. He's just not a very good route runner, but he's really electric with the ball in his hands. A guy that could fall compared to where he should go. Josh Simmons is another one that I think could fall. A lot of these guys are based on medical. That will be, and I'll be honest with you, Tyson, I hate to punt this question, but I think I will be better situated to answer that question 2 weeks from now than I can answer it right now. I need to hear some opinions from around the league based on what other people are hearing, not just what I'm hearing. Closing in on the breakdown here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Shamar Stewart. Ahead of Mikael Williams and Siobhan Ravel. Jade Barron did not get much love there, but Shamar Stewart goes at 19 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, 20 to the Denver Broncos, Soaring Eagle. I'm looking right at you of who you think your team should be on the list for your team here. Okay, let's get Shamar Stewart, Elimino. Shamar Stewart. Okay, Denver Broncos. My thought would be Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, Emeka Ibuka. And Trey Amos. I can tell you Loveland and Loveland and Burden will definitely be here. All right, we have started that poll. We have Colson Loveland, Luther Burden, Matthew Golden, and Trey Amos. I think corner is the need for the Denver Broncos that nobody talks about. Because on the opposite side of Patrick Surtain, there was just a huge drop-off. And I am a big fan of really making when you have an elite player like Pat Surtain, I like putting another great player on the opposite side. Just solely because that makes my strength even more of a strength. And I love Trey Amos, especially the fit for him in Denver. Pennywise said he would consider a Marion Hampton here too. I considered that, except for the fact that they really like Audric Estime. And look, that's just going to be a committee. It's what Sean Payton does. He's shown this over time. He likes having a slew of running backs in the stable, and I just don't think he's going to use a first-round pick on one. Stephen Tao asked if Mimbu is still available. Armand Mimbu went 11 to the San Francisco 49ers. Marcus Imbow is still available. Not to be confused with each other. Oh, hey, Red Sea said I got to start the clock. I do have to start the clock, don't I? Let's, boop. We'll run this clock down to just a minute 30 because I did forget to start it. Tyson Carter said that T. Higgins absolutely torched the second corners for the Broncos right before the playoffs. He sure did. He sure did. And that's really where that corner problem really got emphasized for me. And people will say, oh, but look at the other games. Yeah, look at the other games and look at who the second corner or look at the second receiver on the opposite team was. They held up until they started playing against actual legit twos, and they got tortured. I'd also be remiss if I didn't point out, hey, do you remember what Jerry Jeudy did to him? Still one of the weirdest games I think I've ever seen in my life. All right, coming to the breakdown here on Denver. Looks like we have a clear winner, Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan. I like Loveland a lot. I have him in terms of grade right behind Tyler Warren, and I think it's funny that people are pushing him down because he was not as productive in this past year, and they don't seem to want to look at the fact you understand his quarterback play was fucking terrible, right? I mean, some of the worst in college football. I think Loveland would be a great selection at 20 for the Denver Broncos. 21 here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I feel like our selections here for Pittsburgh should be Luther Burden, Emeka Ibuka, Benjamin Morrison, and I feel like I got to go an offensive lineman somewhere. I'm giving you two weapons. I'm going to go offensive lineman. 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 I'm going to Nick Skirton is also pretty high on that board for me. Yeah, let's do that. All right, Pittsburgh Steelers at number 21. Luther Burden, Matthew Golden, Benjamin Morrison, and Nick Skirton. Skirton's an interesting prospect for me because he could play so many different positions based on how much different tape I saw from him. At Purdue, he played smaller, would be a 4-3 end. At Texas A&M, he played bigger, wasn't quite as good, and it intrigues me. We have our first super chat of the day. It is from Red Sea. You'd be hard pressed to find a worse quarterback play than Michigan this past year. I'd go one step further. You'd be hard pressed to find a Power 5 team that has ever had worse quarterback play than you saw out of Michigan and Florida State this past year. Michigan just had actual legit talent. Florida State, not so much. Eat and Sleep Football said, I'd be surprised if Luther Burden falls this far. I'm going to level with you. I'll be stunned if he doesn't. I will be stunned if a team in the top 20 takes him, just solely because I can't figure out how you're supposed to get him the ball. And you start drawing comparisons to Laviska Shenault, and that really will start pushing you down a board. And I've heard that out of him a lot. That tank foot is that sent a shiver up my whole spine. T's and P's cantankerous. All right, we're into the last 50 seconds here of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sir Jimothy asked, is Luther Burden more like Deebo Samuel or Percy Harvin? Yes. He's not as fast as Percy Harvin. He's a better route runner than either one of them, but not by much. And he's just short. And I look at this receiver. He's one of those that I've never understood. I don't understand why people lose their shit about him so much. But that being said, I could also see him going to a team like Pittsburgh where he'd have George Pickens either on the opposite side or on the outside of him in the slot. And I could see a path that you can get him open. My fear is that a team takes him. And I keep hearing San Francisco. San Francisco already has this guy. They've already paid this guy, and they don't like how it went. So I don't see it being San Francisco. We are at pick time for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Luther Burden from Missouri with 52% of the vote there. So we got Luther Burden to Pittsburgh. We're at number 22, the Los Angeles Chargers. We'll go Emeka Egbuka. We'll go Benjamin Morrison. We will go Omarion Hampton and Matthew Golden. There's not another tight end that I can shoehorn here, no matter how badly I want to. I would also consider Kenneth Grant here because we do know that Jim Harbaugh has a fascination with taking Michigan players. And actually, I'm going to put Kenneth Grant as the fourth as opposed to Benjamin Morrison. Okay, start the clock here on the Los Angeles Chargers. Colin Green said Roma Dunze was wide receiver 3 last year and would have been wide receiver 1 this year. Yep, by a lot. Well, not necessarily by a lot over Ted McMillan. Just depends on what kind of guy you were looking for. If you're looking for more of a deep threat, then he's way ahead. If you're looking for full body of work, big possession receiver, Ted McMillan would be pretty close. Alex Majabi, who is a Chargers fan, said any of these guys would make him happy. And we have a super chat from Red Sea. Said a Steeler fan I know who is a draft YouTuber would be absolutely fuming right now if Pittsburgh passed on Morrison. Pittsburgh just doesn't take corners and at high levels like that. They took Joey Porter Jr. But other than that, they have just cobbled that secondary together for years. I think they should take Benjamin Morrison. But you also have to remember that's a team that's really strict on medical. Stuart West said maybe this is where Matthew Golden slips into the first round. It's entirely possible. Sir Jimothy asked me which team will be the DA of the day like Atlanta was last year with Penix at 8. I think there's a possibility that somebody takes Ashton Genty in the top 10. I'm not going to love that. I think there is a possibility that somebody falls in love with Shamar Stewart and takes him way too high. 4.5 sacks in his entire career. The other risers I'm a big fan of, so it's hard for me to kind of slot one of those in. Stephen Tao said physical medical. They don't give a damn if you're crazy. He is correct. Tyson Carter, seen a lot of advanced analytics. Speaking of Matthew Golden being a bust, there are a lot of them out there. Golden's going to be one of those beauties in the eye of the beholder, guys. We have a really close vote here for the Chargers, but 39% Jim Harbaugh's former player, Kenneth Grant, at 22 to the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, that is actually a spot that I would really like Kenneth Grant. Especially if they're able to keep both of their edge rushers. Okay, Green Bay Packers here at number 23. I'm just going to turn this over to the chat. You name me the 4 guys that should be on this board for the Packers. Because I feel like Benjamin Morrison should be 1. Gray Zabel should be 1 because he is the most Green Bay Packer pick I think I've ever seen in my life. So we'll definitely have Tyson Carter's right. They could definitely use a corner. So we'll definitely have Benjamin Morrison here at 23. So we'll go Benjamin Morrison, Gray Zabel, Emeka Ibuka. I don't see them doing that, but he is in line here. And we'll go Mikael Williams. I'm just going to keep putting Mikael Williams on every one of these until he goes. And it's funny that this is what you guys are doing with this mock where Mikael Williams just keeps getting pushed down. This is exactly what happens when I do this with other draft nerds. Like with other scouts that work for different companies, we do this exact same thing where I can't find the place that Mikael Williams makes sense. And I have a weird feeling he's going to end up with the Philadelphia Eagles, and 3 years from now we're going to go, son of a bitch, how did we do this again? DNA Tooth Podcast, one of our resident Green Bay Packer fans, with the Go Pack Go. Where are my entertainers? Asked about the Alabama linebacker. That's Jahad Campbell. I'm not as high on him as everybody else is. He's not even my number one linebacker. I think this is early. To me, an off-ball linebacker to go this high has to be pretty special, and I just don't think he is. Now, we're getting into, this is probably the start of where his range falls in. And I didn't start the clock again because I'm a big dumb asshole. Sir Jimothy, do you know when you're dropping the Dallas 3-round mock draft? The goal is to have it out by Sunday. Maybe Monday, though. I've gone a little longer here than I anticipated, and I've got a lot of editing to do, and it's Valentine's Day. So, if we can get Benjamin, we'll run this clock down to a minute, just solely because I forgot to hit the clock. Whoops. Wrong button. Oh, it's a great time for me to ask you guys a question that have been on the website. Does it have too many ads? I have tried my damnedest to be just really, really light on the ads where it would still make money, and it's doing fine. Is the website too slow? Any input you have like this, that this would be a great time for that. And if you haven't checked it out, it's NFLDraft.net. All of our position rankings are up. Team by team 3-round mock drafts will be found there as well as on our YouTube page. Where my entertainers asked who's my number one linebacker is Jeffrey Bassa from Oregon. I like him better. I think there's more raw talent there. Okay, pick number 23, Green Bay Packers, Benjamin Morrison with 50% of the vote. I think that's a good selection for them, especially with the potential that Jair Alexander's played his last game there. Okay, 24, the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to stick to my guns, do what I said. Notorious B.I.G. said, I didn't see any ads on it, but he also has an ad blocker. The ads are not as in your face as they are in other places, but they are there. Let's see. We'll go Vikings here at 24. Mikael Williams is going to be one of them. Amarian Hampton will be one of them. I will go. I want to go one of the corners, but I'm not sure which one. I'm going to go Jahdae Barron and Trey Amos. I think it will be one of those top two guys regardless. So, let's see. I saw a super chat from Red Sea. Get to the button. I said one thing I would like is for your round grade to be displayed on the prospect rankings. Could be there, and I didn't see it, but I don't know. Okay, so those are on the infographics that you see of my report card of the prospects, and I'll have all of those done. Those will all be up by next week. They'll all be done by the time I go to the combine. Round grades are not solidified until after the combine. So that's where you will see my final round grade on each one of those guys. That's why I didn't put that up there yet. But that will be up there once we're done once the combine's over. I don't change anybody's round grade based on pro days. I lock pretty much everything in. GG Gambling said Jack Sawyer. I just don't think he's a scheme fit for what they do. If I had put another edge rusher out there, it would probably have been Donovan Ezraku. And I seriously thought about that. The voting is going about exactly how I thought it was going to. So it was more the four choices I would be looking at. And Gigi asked, is Aaron Jones chopped liver? He's just older and he's injury prone. And you need another running back. And I think we saw last year that I don't really buy into any of the pieces that you have. I want a bell cow for long term, and I think he's a really good fit because he can do so many things. I like American Hampton a lot. And it appears he is going to be our selection here. Red Sea said we can't put Ezraku here to Minnesota. He has to be the Cardinals' second round pick in this scenario. Trust me, there are a good number of stand-up guys that will be there in the second round if you miss out on James Pierce, which I don't know if you will or not. Depends on how much these character things keep popping up and becoming a thing. All right, number 24, Minnesota Vikings, Marion Hampton, running back, North Carolina. I think that's a great pick. Okay, Houston Texans. This one should not be hard for me to figure out the group of guys that I'm going to put on the poll. All right, I think you have to at least acknowledge the possibility that they take a receiver. Oh, I gotta end that. Start a poll. All right, so Houston Texans here at number 25. For me, this is really a two-horse race, but I'm going to go Gray Zabel. I'm going to go Tyler Booker. I'm going to go Emeka Ibuka. And I will go Josh Connerly Jr. Not necessarily thinking he's going to get selected here, but this is a good time to get his name out there. Red Sea said Ibuka, Booker, whoever else, Waldo. I like Gray Zabel to them a lot. Solely because I need the five best players offensive line-wise, and Zabel is so damn multiple. Only 8 picks left here in our got to start the clock. Damn it. That's why I have to leave that. I have to have the monitor screen. Because I will forget to do that. Until I see that clock is not moving, I will forget to do that shit. It's also a good time to ask, content-wise, what would you guys like for me to do next? We're in the depths of 3-round mock drafts. I should have a little bit of time before we leave for the combine. I really want to start getting Patreon content out there. And that's going to be a big deal for me. I've yet to have anybody really tell me what it is they want from the Patreon. We got the reviews back because Patreon asked people why they do things like that. The overwhelming number one answer was financial support for you guys, which we greatly appreciate. Colin Green player profile videos will be coming out. I will be doing 90 seconds on. I got to remember how I broke this down. I'll be doing 90 seconds on my top 50. I'll be doing 60 seconds on everybody 51 to 150, and then I'll do 30 seconds on everybody 151 to 300. but those are coming. I like waiting on player profile videos until after we have the combine, and I'll tell you why. I learned this the hard way a few years ago. So we started doing those, and then I had unofficial 40 times, and every single comment I got was, "You got the 40 time wrong." I know that because it was recorded before he ran it. Sir Jimothy, for the Patreon, I want to see a breakdown post-draft of each pick for each team. We will have that. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you. We got 20 seconds here before the pick comes up for the Houston Texans, and I am surprised that is the name I'm seeing at the top of that list. After the draft, I'm going to be very scarce for probably 2 months. This year is just, it's worn my ass out, and I'm putting everything I got into the draft. I am sitting in this spot right here in Mullet Manor. I am here all the time. My wife is very, very patient. She gives up a lot of time with me during the draft because she's understanding. She's very supportive. She knows this is the passion for me, and this is what I want to do long term. So. But after the draft, I will be scarce, but I will still be putting out content. I just won't be around on the ESPN show. I'm not going to take a Mel Kiper sabbatical, but I'll be gone for 2 solid weeks. And then I believe I'm gone 2 more weeks in the next 6. I basically take a month in the 2 months directly after the draft in May, June, and the first week of July. Okay, we are at the end of the clock here for the Houston Texans. And the pick's in. It's Emeka Egbuka. I'm shocked Gray Zabel and Tyler Booker split the vote. And Egbuka here at 47. That's an interesting selection. I did not see that going that way. So the Houston Texans here take Emeka Egbuka. That was the PFF #1 player left on the board. And we're to the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to ask for Gigi's opinion here on who his Rams should have and have on their board. And while I do that, Curtis Davis, hey, Jeremy, a center that the Chargers should keep an eye on in this draft. I said this when I broke down centers the other day. I think whoever blinks first at center loses because I don't love the high end side of the centers. I think there's 8 guys that are very, very similar. So I don't think there's a lot of difference. I like Jared Wilson. I like Seth McLaughlin. And I would say Harbaugh's probably got pretty good eyes on McLaughlin because he was at Ohio State last year, so obviously he watched him against Michigan. He also had to prepare for him when Michigan played Alabama in the Rose Bowl. So Seth McLaughlin would be my answer to that. Okay, Gigi's answer here was Alec Manor, Gray Zabel, Mikael Williams, and Jahdae Barron. I think that's as good a list as you could possibly put together for the Rams here at number 26. Rams at 26, we go Gray Zabel, who I absolutely love, and I want to find a way to shoehorn him into the first round. Mikael Williams, Jahdae Barron, and Alec Manor. Okay, that voting has started, and I'll remember to start the clock this time. Bill Buttigieg asked, is Cooper Kupp getting traded? I believe so, but it's also possible he just gets outright cut because nobody wants to take on the amount of money that it would cost. I don't think there's much left with Cooper Kupp. He feels like injuries have very much taken over, and I just think he's a shell of what he used to be, which is unfortunate, but injuries have taken over. Sir Jimothy with a great question. What other podcasters are in here? He knows about Great North. Wants to spread the word on other loyal listeners. We have Stone Sports Podcast, who is the partner of Armchair Commentary on Great North Sports. I know Nathaniel McWirt. I know he's done a podcast. He's a really smart guy. I don't know if he's actively doing anything about. I don't know if he's actively doing anything right now. Snowman, Brian Snowman in the morning. He does a really good morning show. It's him and Cole Johnson, I think is his name. I really want to build out a podcast network with all of these podcasters. I don't really know how to do it, and I need somebody that would probably run it for me. Just because the amount of time that would go into that would be absolutely mind-boggling. But I have long thought about just compiling all those the same way that Joe Rogan does with comedians. Of, hey, there's dudes doing really good shit. Hey, come watch it right here. That may be something I try to undertake during my my post-draft sabbatical. But if anybody would be interested in running point on that for me, I would happily take the help. We're inside the last 20 seconds here on the Rams, and this is the closest vote we've had so far. 10 seconds to go, and we just a couple votes on either side could determine this pick. 3, 2, 1, and done. Gray Zabel. That was a close vote. Gray Zabel there with 44% of the vote. And I like that pick a lot. I think he is one of the best can't miss prospects in this class. There may be no all pro to him, but at 26, he's a guy that I don't see any miss for you. Let's see. Now we are at number 27 with the Baltimore Ravens, Stephen Towle. Obviously, Michael Williams will be one of them. I don't think Matthew Golden really fits because he really does a lot of what Zay Flowers does. I want to go Michael Williams. I want to go Nick Skirton. I want to go Jahdae Barron. I want to go Donovan Ezeraku. Yeah, I think that's enough. Oh, scroll up. Let's see. Stephen Towle said Connerly, Booker, a wide receiver of some kind, and maybe Siobhan Ravel Jr. for the Ravens. I don't necessarily think you would take a corner in the first round after you just invested in Nate Wiggins. And you got Marlon Humphrey, so that makes all right. Ravel makes sense. Connerly makes sense. Booker makes sense. I just don't know who the receiver would be. I also can't see a path that they don't have Michael Williams here at some point. But I need a receiver. Okay, so the number one receiver that would be on the board here would either be Alec Ayumanor. I feel like that's too high. It's not too high, but it is at the same time. You don't have to take him that high. So I will say if Humphrey was on the outside, it would make me like Jahdae Barron better. So I'm going to go Ravens here at 27. I will go Josh Connerly Jr. I'll go Siobhan Ravel Jr. I will go Michael Williams. They love taking guys like that. Then I need a receiver. I will go. I think it has to be Alec Ayumanor. Because I don't see a chance that they're going to take Matthew Golden. All right. I'm going to put Matthew Golden in there. A lot of other people like him better than I do. So, all right. Josh Connerly Jr., Siobhan Ravel, Michael Williams, Matthew Golden, and the clock starts now. All right, we're to the Baltimore Ravens. There's just a few more picks left here. We've been going for 2+ hours, which is longer than I intended on going. Got a minute and a half left here for the Baltimore Ravens. Yep, that voting is going exactly how I thought it would, because this is what Baltimore does. They let the guy fall in their lap that may or may not be a position of need right this second, but they know they can develop the guy. And this is almost getting to the point of, we're not at that point yet. A minute left to go for Baltimore. Sir Jimothy said next time maybe a minute 30 to pick rather than 2:30. We learn as we go. You live, you learn. And I would change the amount of time on the clock now, except I would have to completely close. It would take me 5 minutes to reset the clock on the screen. So by the time it's all said and done, I wouldn't actually save any time. Ten seconds to go here for Baltimore. Mark Matlock said most Charger fans would hate that Grant pick, but not me. It makes a lot of sense. All right, picks in Baltimore Ravens. Mykel Williams, edge rusher out of Georgia. That is very much. That's the most Baltimore Raven pick that I think you possibly could have made. All right, here we go. Detroit Lions. I'm going to go Jack Sawyer. I'm going to go Donovan Ezaraku. I'm going to go Tyler Booker. And I will go. I will go TJ Sanders. I think this is about the first time that he would start getting mentioned. Mark Matlock asked about Derek Harmon. I'm not as wild about Harmon as a lot of other people are. I mean, I think he's a top 50-ish pick. It's just it's a little high for me. I'm going to start this clock, and we'll go to a minute on it. Detroit is such an interesting pick to me, and I love Jack Sawyer. I love him, and I think he makes so much sense for Detroit. You also have to keep in mind that Myles Garrett is a possibility for Detroit. It's a possibility they go fully all in. Where's my entertainers? Asked the A&M guy. That could be Nick Skirton. I don't think Skirton is going to play. I don't think he's going to play as heavy. Or at least he shouldn't. If he does, if he plays at 280, he would definitely be in the discussion here. I think I would rather take Sawyer or Ezaraku as a stander. Soaring Eagle asked, back to Denver, what's the issue with Jahdae Barron? Jahdae Barron is one of those guys that he's a much easier grade for a team than he is for a guy like me. Because I think if you just plan on putting him on the outside and using him as a corner, he's a late second, early third round pick. if you're going to move him around, which makes way more sense, then he becomes a late 1, early 2. But I've also heard people talk about Jahdae Barron in the top 15, which is insanity to me. I mean, Brian Branch went in the top of the 2nd round. Jahdae Barron's going to go in the top 15? I don't know about that. All right, we've come to the end here on the Detroit Lions. We got Jack Sawyer. It was very close with Donovan Ezraku, but we go Jack Sawyer here at number, I believe that's 28. Yes, 28. So Jack Sawyer there to the Detroit Lions. Washington Commanders here at 29. Another team that will definitely be in on Myles Garrett. I think they're one of the favorites for Myles Garrett. Washington Commanders at 29. We will go Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden. Josh Connerly Jr. Tyler Booker. And I'll go Nick Skirton. Vincent Collier asked, when is the combine? Oh, let's see. Our section of it, we will be leaving a week from Monday. The interviews start Tuesday morning. So our ESPN radio show will be recorded for a good part of that week because we'll be doing interviews and stuff like that. Then we will be doing lives at night of what we've seen at the workouts and things like that. The workouts themselves start on Thursday. I think you go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be a good week. It's always a good week. Love Combine Week. Glad to have the access, and we thank Ingles Markets, low prices, love the savings. Parks Ford Hendersonville and Clarissa Sells WNC for all their help in getting us there. And we thank you guys because all of your interactions with us on social media and all of your super chats and all your views and your watching ads and things like that here on YouTube, that also gets us there. Stuart West with a really good point that Washington needs defense. I think a lot of their money's going to go there. That's a team with a ton of cap space, and I think they're going to make a big play on Myles Garrett. I think they're going to make a big play on a lot of free agents. I think it is more likely that they do that than chase T. Higgins. And I've heard a lot of people talk about T. Higgins possibly with Washington, but I don't know that Cincinnati's going to let him hit the open market. But they might. I have been surprised before. Pennywise asked, Jeremy, sorry if you answered this, but what are the red flags on Malachi Moore and James Pierce? James Pierce's, I think, are just a lot of immaturity shit. I haven't gotten a really good answer on give me the event that makes him a character red flag. And those tend to be either overblown or complete bullshit, in my experience. Not always. So, I mean, things could still come out. I could still learn a lot. But I don't really have any reservations about James Pierce. Malachi Moore is just a really immature kid. And I don't think a very bright kid either. Now, I will know more. He talked to a lot of teams at the Senior Bowl, in spite of the fact that he wasn't even playing at the Senior Bowl. He was on the sideline, which is not something that they usually allow. They give your spot up, and then you're really not allowed in the building, but he was on the sideline. I saw him one day down in Mobile, and I heard he talked to a good number of teams. So we are to decision time on the Washington Commanders. Josh Connerly Jr., offensive tackle from Oregon. I like that selection a lot. So we'll get that one up for Washington here in a minute. Here we go, the Buffalo Bills. We got Josh Connerly Jr. there. The Bills, I will go Nick Skirton. I will go Matthew Golden. Feels like we're getting a lot of the same pieces here. Potentially going to each team. Bills here at number 30. Go Nick Skirton, Matthew Golden, Jahdae Barron, and Trey Amos. Notorious B.I.G. said with Malachi Moore, he just can't get out of his own way. That seems to be a common way that's looked at, is that Malachi Moore's he's an immature kid and he just does really dumb shit. And those guys are they can be absolutely infuriating to be on your team. Gigi Gambling said this is where Matthew Golden finally, or where Jahdae Barron, finally goes. I think it's a 2-horse race between Golden and Barron. And then we get to the two Super Bowl combatants, and I have a weird feeling one of them's getting an offensive lineman, and a weird feeling the other one's getting an edge rusher. All right, just a minute left here with the Bills, and this is actually not serving to go the way I thought it was. Jahdae Barron currently in the lead, Nick Skirton, Trey Amos, and then Matthew Golden, a pretty distant fourth. Definitely need defensive pieces for the Buffalo Bills. I like the depth of receiver in this class, so I don't necessarily love taking Matthew Golden here if it's Buffalo. I would probably have gone either Jahdae Barron or Nick Skirton. Eat and Sleep Football said Nick Skirton's going to be a steal, and I'm going to laugh for years. I think he is too. I think he's going to slim down back to his Purdue weight, and you'll see that impact pass rusher. And he has now taken the lead for the Buffalo Bills. This is the closest one we've had yet. It is actually tied. All right, time is up on the Buffalo Bills. And we have a tie. So I will be the tiebreaker vote, and I'm going to go Jahdae Barron here for the Buffalo Bills. Which means Nick Skirton's going to be on the board for the Philadelphia Eagles. And that sounds about right. That sounds like exactly how that's going to go. Jahdae Barron there at 30 to the Buffalo Bills. Okay, Kansas City. Offensive linemen have to be really high here. Tyler Booker, that would be a replacement for Trey Smith if you think they're not going to re-sign him. Ariante Urshary. Donovan Jackson probably needs to be on this list. Outside of that, Do they go to the well with another Texas wide receiver? Stuart West said the needs for Kansas City: offensive tackle, defensive tackle, running back. I agree. Offensive tackle's really gotten a little thin here. So I'm going to start with Donovan Jackson, who's a really multiple player, played tackle and guard at Ohio State. I will go I'll go Wyatt Millum. I'll go Matthew Golden. And I will go I'll go TJ Sanders, the defensive tackle from South Carolina. Oh, just 2 picks left. Now, this is probably a good time to talk about all of the things that are going insane in the world of Travis Kelce. Basically, the Chiefs have put a deadline on him of we need a decision 2 days before free agency. That's when his roster bonus hits. He sounded like a guy that was not planning on playing again. And I've been down this road before. Just be careful. A lot of times you'll get guys that right after that crushing loss, they just think, I'm not lathering up to do this again. And then the closer it comes to getting to where you have to say it out loud, it's harder for them to say. I have a weird feeling Travis Kelce is going to be back, in spite of what he said. Wyatt Millum, currently the leader in the clubhouse here, which I believe that would be my selection here. I also considered Ariante Urshary, but after the Kingsley Suamatea, I thought that was a good pick. I still think that was a good pick. I just don't see them basically lathering up and doing it again, which is a big, more raw offensive tackle. It's not necessarily ready to play. Donovan Jackson, I think, fits better at guard, but some people think he can play tackle. I don't think it's left tackle. So a vote for Donovan Jackson basically to me is a vote that Jawan Taylor's not going to be there. Pennywise said Kelce looked slow and worn out. That is the Taylor Swift effect. And Suamatea may move into guard. There were people that thought that when he got drafted. I still think he can play tackle. Just Andy Reid didn't trust him. And Andy Reid is one of those old school coaches that he is all about the guys that he trusts. And I think it burned him here. That the Joe Thuney thing just went so freaking bad. Okay, time up here on the Kansas City Chiefs. Donovan Jackson. I'm just going to call him an offensive lineman from Ohio State because he's basically done every damn thing. Let's see. PFF not as high on Donovan Jackson, just a forewarning. Boop. All right, here we go. Philadelphia Eagles. This feels like Nick Skirt and Donovan Ezeraku. I will throw Jihad Campbell in this one, even though I don't think there's any possibility of it, and I'll throw Tyler Booker in there. Chiefs Nation UK said, fuck it, that'll work. It's offensive lineman, and he's not from Alabama. So Eagles here, final pick in the first ever listener mock draft, consensus mock draft. We'll go Nick Skirton. We'll go Donovan Ezraku. We'll go Tyler Booker. And we'll go, I don't remember who the other one I said was, Jahad Campbell. Okay, this will be our last pick. We got 2.5 minutes, and then, damn, I need a nap. Notorious B.I.G. said, Chiefs Nation, I just thought about it, and damn, you guys really don't draft Alabama players. They really don't. Draft the shit out of the SEC, but they don't tend to draft Alabama players. To me, this one should not be that difficult for Philadelphia. Nick Skirton's here. That feels like just another rich getting richer. Excuse me. This has been a fun exercise. I'm glad we did this first one this way. I think this has been it's been an illuminating for me, just because I know you guys watch content in other places, you get information in other places, and I've learned some things here. I've learned some things about the way that the public views certain players. Pissed the hell off. Browns fan said I like doing these. I've enjoyed this as well. I wish I'd made the clock a little shorter, but I think I said that same thing with the actual team mock drafts last year. And we will do a listener mock where 32 individual listeners get 32 individual teams. We'll do that with a 3-rounder. I wasn't loving the idea of doing that as a 1-rounder anyway, and then I ran into some complications this morning. So I like that we did this way. I went into this week knowing that we were going to have 3 days off, and I had really 2 shows planned, and this one just kind of fell in my lap. So I love when a plan comes together. And I appreciate all you guys for sticking it out for 2.5 hours, and a lot of views, a lot of, I had some super chats. It's always a fun time. Marina Sands said Ezraku would be the pick, similar to Nolan Smith. Skirton's okay to replace Williams at defensive tackle. Nick Skirton's not playing defensive tackle in the NFL. He's just not. He's not doing it. It's not how he played too heavy at Texas A&M, and that would have put him as a 3-4 D end in the first place. He ain't playing D tackle in the league. Now he might in some pass rush situations, but in terms of down in, down out, that kid's gonna slim down. I'm 99% sure of it. When I went back and watched his tape last year at Texas A&M, blood was coming out of my ears. I was so pissed off at watching how they used him. But Texas A&M does that. That seems to be a good place for defensive linemen to go to just waste away. All right, pick is in. Number 32, it's Nick Skirton, which is exactly how I thought that was going to go. And that will do it for, oh, shit. Well, how do I get that to go away? I hit the wrong button, damn it. Sometimes you'll do that. Boop. All right. I'll hit the button here on Nick Skirton for the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's a mock draft. I'll get this drawn up and put out for public consumption, but you can see on the screen there. There's what we've done here today. Thank PFF for I think the best mock draft simulator in the business. If you're just running one person, Walk the Mock, great for drafting with friends. But this has been a fun exercise. I feel very sure that we will be doing this every single year moving forward. We may do another one before it's all said and done. Just do a marathon, just an absolute marathon moving forward. And Marina said that Skirtin can't play outside linebacker. I don't agree with you. At 260 pounds, that kid moved like he was 225. It's just he got so big. And watching the tape, it is shocking. It looks like two completely different people. So that's my belief. It's okay to disagree in these things. And you never know. Ezraku might be the pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. But this has been fun. We will be back with we're off Monday for President's Day. I will not have a live stream on Monday. I will be finishing up the mock drafts. Anything that I can't get tied together the rest of today and over the weekend, I will be finishing on Monday. So there will be no live on Monday. We will be back on Tuesday, we hope, depending on what Tank has done to himself most lately. He stepped on a something, some kind of metal, and it went all the way through his foot. So from experience, I can tell you that hurts like a bitch. I am at ESPN Draft Nerd Jeremy Green. Check us out, NFLDraft.net, all your position rankings. We've got 2 positions left to get up on the website. Those will be up over the weekend. And then we'll roll into still putting out 3-round mock drafts. Those will be going out all weekend long. And everybody have a good Valentine's Day. Be nice to the better halves. Buy some flowers. Buy some lovely dinners. And enjoy it. I'm Jeremy Green. I'll see you next time.
Devil in a red dress.